Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here for something a little different. Now, you guys may not know this, but I am heavily invested in the Bridgerton series. I did not read the books, but my cousin did. So when this series came out a few years back, she made me sit down and watch one episode, and I became hooked. And I was sitting here like, okay, I think I'm going to review season 3, but why not start reviewing some of season 1 to work our way up to season 3? Now, I do not know how often I'm going to post these. It really depends on the response. As of right now, I know I'm going to do at least one a week. I'd like to do 2, but I don't know if this is something that you all even want to hear me review. So let's begin and see how this goes. We begin in the year of 1813. We meet the Featheringtons, which is a group of these red-headed, pretty ladies, but it's noticed very quickly that they wear colors that don't suit their skin tone. You can't have certain colors on certain complexions. In my opinion, it just doesn't look as nice as if they put on something that was, I don't know, maybe like the Bridgerton blue, but they have like yellows and things of that nature. And I feel like it just doesn't make their skin pop the way that it should. But that's just my opinion. There are 3 daughters, Prudence, Philippa, and Penelope. We then meet the Bridgertons. Now, the Bridgertons are a family that includes the widowed Viscountess Bridgerton and her 8 children. We see very early on that the Bridgertons are the town's favorite, that they are what the community would deem as an ideal family because they have a bunch of handsome young men and a bunch of beautiful daughters. Not only do they have that, but they have a large family home. Well, multiple homes, really. They have money, okay? The children are named in alphabetical order. Anthony is the eldest of all of the children. So we find out that it's social season, and we learn early on that Lady Featherington is kind of in her own little silent competition with not just everyone around her, but mainly the Bridgertons, which is odd considering that Penelope Featherington and Eloise Bridgerton are best friends. Daphne is the firstborn female of the Bridgertons. So before her, you can figure they're in alphabetical order, she has 3 elder brothers. Daphne is also going to be a part of the social season. So the 3 Featherton girls and Daphne are entering the social season. And as the Bridgertons are preparing to accompany Daphne to go before the queen, they notice that the eldest brother, Anthony, is missing. And we find out he's missing because he's too busy having relations outside with an opera singer by the name of Sienna. Now, this is a big no-no in their community, especially to be doing this the way that he's doing it, yet he's doing it. So there's this big fuss as she's preparing and she's getting ready to be presented to the queen. And just as they're getting ready to walk into the building where the queen is, Anthony, who is late, arrives. It is narrated that today is important because the ladies are looking to find a husband. So the social season is all about finding a mate. So they're going before the queen. And as they're entering, one of the things that I love about this series is it's obvious that they put a lot of money into the set and to the costume designs because they're so beautiful. And you see all the males with wigs and things of that nature as they enter into the queen's court. We see the queen looking as a bunch of young ladies approach her, and she seems to be very unimpressed. And that is until she sees Daphne. Now, Daphne enters and the music changes and everyone is in awe of her. As she's walking up, as all the other ladies have, You see the queen rise, walk towards her, and she tells Daphne that she is, I quote, flawless, which means for this season, she is the one to watch. As she's excited, saying, Mom, I can't believe this, her mother is reminding her to smile, dearest, because you are being watched. Not only is she being watched by the community, but we learn that she is being watched by a person by the name of Lady Whistledown. Now, Lady Whistledown is this anonymous source that publishes what they call a scandal sheet. In our day, this would be like a blog or a gossip column of some sort. No one knows who she is, but she is very opinionated, and apparently this is her first time making an appearance via this scandal sheet. She says, "You don't know me, and rest assured you never shall. But be forewarned, dear reader, I certainly know you," meaning she's going to be watching. So despite knowing the writer, the scandal sheet is going to matter more sometimes than what is actually going on and what people's true opinions are. We learned that Lady Featherington is not only helping her 3 own daughters into society, but also a distant cousin of her husband, Lord Featherington, a young lady by the name of Marina Thompson. And as she's talking about how, she comes from the country and, they're helping her out and all these other things because they look down on people who are like this. She thinks she's going to be homely and unattractive. Marina Thompson walks in, and Penelope is the only nice Featherington in the moment and says she's beautiful because she was. Marina is beautiful and is now going to be competition for Daphne. While this is happening, a very attractive, somewhat intriguing man rides into town on a horse. You got the dark music playing in the background. Well, let me not say dark. It's like anticipation. Like, okay, who is this person? Because the music is upbeat. Who is this? A little dark, maybe. He's on the horse and he has his flask in tow. And we find out that this is Simon, better known as the Duke of Hastings. The Duke may be considered as a rake later on in this episode, but the Duke is fine. He's a good-looking guy. We learn later that the Duke is also friends with Daphne's eldest brother, Anthony. They attended Oxford together. So he's there on business to settle the estate that he recently inherited from his deceased father. He meets up with a woman who is called Lady Danbury, who we later learn is his godmother. Now, Lady Danbury is one of my favorite characters, and watching her in Charlotte and seeing what she went through in the Charlotte story made me like her even more. Simon knows that he's a hot commodity and he has no desires to be a part of the social season. He just wants to come there to sort out his father's affairs and leave. But Lady Danbury is not taking no for an answer, and she's insisting that he comes to her party. While they're having that conversation, we see Anthony with Sienna again. This time, instead of being outdoors, they're actually on a couch. He explains that he has to leave her early because he has to escort his sister. She's asking, like, what are these balls and things of that nature like? Which lets you know early on that these two people, these two characters are in different worlds because she's not familiar with this type of social scene, whereas he is. Lady Danbury's party is the first event of the season. These parties are a way for the guests to mingle and to not just be Spencers, according to Lady Whistledown, because who wants to grow up to be, 25 and not married? Because in this time period, the ladies got married young. Not only is it time for that, but it's also an opportunity to gossip. The various guests arrive at the party, including Daphne, who is accompanied by her brother Anthony. Anthony means well, but he's a modern day cock-a-doodle-doo blocker, if you know what I mean. Take the doodle-doo off. He's a blocker. He finds fault in every single bachelor that approaches Daphne to speak to her. He says things like, that one isn't a man of honor, and that one is a cheat, and that one has an unpaid balance, and that one is just after your sizable dowry. So, of course, what man is going to want to continue to approach her when you're dealing with that from just the one brother and she has other ones behind him? We see Marina Thompson is at the party, and she is not only attracting the attention of other suitors, but she is attracting the attention of Colin Bridgerton, which is the third eldest child of the Viscountess. And unlike Daphne, Marina is dancing with several people. You see the Duke standing nearby, and as soon as he's spotted, he is surrounded by multiple women, and he's annoyed because he didn't want to be there in the first place. While that's going on, you see Daphne over her brother trying to escape him, go to get a drink. And as she's going to get a drink, she's approached by Lord Burbrook. Now, Lord Burbrook is significantly older than her. Not sure how much, because he talks about when he was in school, he was fond of her even back then. And she's like, when I was 5, I think she said 5. Yeah. Which means there's a gap there. He's interested, but she definitely is not. So she has a quick conversation, and she hurries up and tries to escape him. He's following behind her, and she literally runs into the Duke. He, of course, thinks that it was something intentional, because the moment he arrived at the party and people recognized him, everybody was accosting him. Whereas this is not what this situation was. She didn't even know who he was. She was just trying to escape the creep. They end up talking a little bit, and they determine quickly that neither one of them care for each other. As they're speaking, because he's not believing her when she's saying, look, I didn't run into you on purpose. I'm just trying to basically have a conversation with you because of this guy right here. Now, she's not saying it, but she keeps looking back like and laughing, even though he's not saying anything funny, because Lord Burbrook is not going to approach if he sees them speaking. Anthony approaches because he recognizes the Duke, and he introduces Daphne as his sister. You see a little bit of change in the Duke, and he's like, oh, this is your sister? And he says, yes. So she's like, how do you know him? He says, I went to school with him at Oxford. He ends up telling, Daphne that they should go. So they leave the party, even though the mother suggests that they don't, prematurely. He thinks he's doing something good, but what he's actually doing is he's making it harder for his sister. It's the next day, and Daphne wakes up excited for all the gentlemen callers that she'll be receiving. She's telling her maid to make sure that they pull in extra chairs and things of that nature. Because if you're interested in a lady, then you come to her house, to her drawing room, to talk to her while being chaperoned. Because of her brother, eventually only 2 men show up. One being the horrible, dreadful Lord Burbrook. I don't understand why she was forced to talk to him, because her mother was like, go ahead and talk to him. And she's trying to pull Eloise to sit close to her. And Eloise is trying to stay, but her mother's like, no, you need to come with me. I don't understand why she couldn't just be like, I'm not interested. Maybe her mother felt like if she sent him away, then nobody would come. But she's forced to talk to him. As she only has 2 people, you see the Featheringtons' house, where there's dozens of people, maybe hundreds of male suitors that are there not to see all 4 of the ladies, because as I said before, she has 3 daughters, but just to see Marina. Lady Whistledown publishes in her scandal sheet how Daphne may not be the diamond that the queen thought that she may be, and the queen hates being wrong. Later on, we see at the opera, Lady Danbury invites the Bridgertons to her opera box. Lady Bridgerton and Lady Danbury don't like the way Lady Whistledown has not just been discussing Daphne, but the Duke as well. Because as I said earlier, Lady Danbury is the godmother to the Duke. So they devise a plan to get Daphne and Simon together, kind of to confuse Lady Whistledown by having Simon come over for dinner with the Bridgerton family. Despite Daphne agreeing with some of what is said in the scandal sheet, we see him come over for dinner. Dinner goes well. They have a little bit of banter. After dinner is over, you see Anthony, and it looks like what would be a study, going over some things, and he tells his mom that he sees through her plan, and he doesn't feel like it will work. He does not want the Duke of Hastings with his sister. She basically tells him, like, look, not all of her kids are gonna live their lives doing like what he's doing, sleeping with a certain soprano. He's getting in his sister's way, and their father would have never allowed this to happen. Their father would have already made sure that Daphne was okay, that there were suitors that were lined up, that she would be secure, because they relate being secure with being married. So she doesn't want to hear what he has to say. She wants him to either put up or shut up, step up or go somewhere, because you're not doing what you need to do as the head of this household. And I, as a woman, even though I'm technically not supposed to step in, I'm going to step in. So based on what happened with his mom and his mom calling him out on the fact that he had this girl, Anthony decides that he's going to break up with Sienna. So we see them laying down together. Looks like they just finished having sex. And he tells Sienna that he has to break up with her because he needs to do what's necessary. And she says, I thought you would always protect me, my lord. I thought you would always take care of me. And he says, you know, yeah, I may have said that, but I think it's best that you leave. That's the end of that scene. It's the next social event. Colin is at this event looking for Marina. But Marina is not there because she's ill. At least that's what Penelope tells him. But what's really going on is Marina is pregnant. So Lady Featherington finds out this from the staff because she's been there for well over a month now, and her sheets do not have any blood on them, because back then that's how they determined whether or not you were having your monthly cycle. So because she doesn't have her cycle, then she's pregnant. You see back at the ball, I believe her name is Cressida. She spills a drink on Penelope intentionally, and Colin sees this, kind of takes her away and dances with her, because Penelope is heavier. She may not be the size that they're accustomed to seeing, and a lot of times she's overlooked. And in that moment, he kind of rescued her from the situation. Penelope is dancing with him. They are having a decent time. You later see Anthony approach Daphne as she's standing there. So Anthony's dumbtail tells Daphne that she's going to marry Lord Burbrook. And she should basically be grateful that he figured this out for her, that he's a good guy. His family has a long lineage. He's you know, what he considers to be honorable and all those other things, and that she'll be well taken care of. But his sister doesn't like him. So she says she's not going to marry him, and she storms off to be alone. So she's in some part of a garden alone, and Lord Burbrook finds her. He's talking to her like, you know, I'm so excited. Basically, we're going to be married, yada, yada, go. And she says, look, I'm never going to marry you. I don't want to marry you. He approaches her, goes to put his hands on her, basically attacking her. I don't know if he was going in for a kiss, trying to push her down, what he was trying to do. But Simon sees this, because for whatever reason, at this point, Simon was in the area, and he's running over to stop what's going on. But Daphne ends up punching him in the face and knocking him out. As Simon arrives, he's looking like, oh, I didn't even have to do anything. Daphne had it by herself. Nice one. And she is over there freaking out because not only did she punch him and knock him out, but she's alone by herself, unaccompanied with not just one, but two males. And this would be considered scandalous. This is not something that you were allowed to do back in those days. You were supposed to always have someone chaperoning and watching. She's freaking out. He's not. He's impressed. So they talk about, what's going on and how she doesn't have any suitors and all these other things. And Simon comes up with the idea that they basically act like they're together. So they devise this plan to pretend that they're together. That way, Lady Whistledown will stop writing about how he's single and eligible, and Daphne will get the attention from other eligible men because with his status and his standing and who he is, and the fact that this man has declared on more than one occasion that he has no desire to get married, yet here he is being seen with Daphne, this will help her with her suitors as well. So she's like, do you really think we could do this? And he's like, yes, but you're going to have to make it look like you are falling in love with me, as I have to basically make it look like I'm falling in you. They walk back to the party together. There are fireworks. There's this beautiful score playing in the background. And you see them face each other to dance. He tells her, look into my eyes. There's this serious eye contact going on as they perform the dance with the rest of the crowd. While they're dancing, you can see that there is some attraction there, and everyone is watching them. You can feel the passion from these two people through the screen. You see Lady Danbury looking. You see Lady Bridgerton looking, Viscountess. Her name goes back and forth and thing. Either way, you see all of these people watching them as they dance. The choreography here is so... Chef's kiss is so beautiful because as they're dancing, you see the fire sprinklers going off in the background, and you hear the fireworks, and it's very passionate and slow, and they did a great job on this scene. Lady Whistledown sees this moment because she ends up writing about it in the scandal sheet. You hear her narrating how if you didn't stay to see this moment, then you missed out on something, that this has basically captured her interest, and that she is going to continue to watch Daphne and the Duke to see what develops. And that is the end of episode 1. You all, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Is this something that you want to hear me continue? Just let me know. Hit thumbs up if you haven't done so already. It helps me in the YouTube algorithm. Like the video, as I said. That's what hit thumbs up means. I'm like, didn't I just say hit the... Yeah, anyways, like the video. Thank you so much. Until next time.